Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM, and this is our Cheltenham Festival preview special. Day one, of course, that we're kick-starting with. My name is Kate Tracey and I'm being joined as ever by Andrew Matt and Dave Young to look ahead to all of the races on day one, the greatest show on turf. And Andrew is coming into this in stellar form because he had 5 winners last Saturday. Pinot Rouge, 25 to 1, I think about 20 to 1 SP. Thunder Rock, Making Your Mind Up on Public, also for me, and Cheltenham as well. So Andrew's coming into this in flying form. Hopefully that form can continue into the biggest week of them all, because we're going to kickstart with the Supreme Novices Hurdle, the grade 1, of course, at 1:30, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles, when the roar will sound out across Presby Park and Presbury Park even. But and then we're going to false start. And then we'll get a slightly more muted, more ironic roar than the second time around. But Dave, I mean, who will you be roaring home at the end of a Supreme? And do we definitely know where Ballyburn's going to go yet?
Well, I mean, hopefully I'll be cheering home Ballyburn, but then we don't know if he's definitely coming here. I feel like he does. It's hard to tell with the exchanges whether it's just money moving. We don't know what his decision is going to be. But the Supreme, it looks a good race if he does come here. If he doesn't, it looks competitive, but just not the same sort of standard. He's posting figures in the 150s. There's a few in behind that are doing 140s numbers, such as Tully Hill, Mystical Power, and Slade Steel. Jericho de Repene, the talking horse from earlier in the season, hasn't really lived up to that expectation, although his form has been getting boosts recently, hasn't it, even though I've been poo-pooing it. So, look, if Ballyburn does run in the Supreme, I see no way that the horse gets beat. As it stands at this point, I believe that he will come to the race, and I'm trusting that he will. So I wouldn't be able to pick anyone from those sort of blanketed 3 and behind. They're in the 140s ratings. Ballyburn's race to lose, so as far as I'm concerned, Willie will send him.
Okay, then we'll send him to here. But yeah, Andrew, I mean, we've been doing a proper merry-go-round. We're flip-flopping every single day, basically, in the last week on the build-up to the festival with exactly where Ballyburn's going to go. Willie Mullins' bingo feels like even this has taken another step forward. So we're trying to anticipate where any of his horses are going to go, and Ballyburn's being the most notable name of which.
Yeah, I'm hoping he doesn't run here because I laid 9 to 4 a few days ago, and he's currently 4.8 on the exchanges. I did a preview with Danny Mullins last week, and he basically said, 60-40 in favour of the longer race. So, we'll see. You are trying to second guess some very, very tricky individuals. So who knows? But if he doesn't go here, then I've been looking to take on the likes of Firefox, Tully Hill, Jericho de Repene, Slade Steel. I mean, 2 of those were beaten last time out. That's not been a good start for the Supreme in recent years. The last 10 years, 69 horses lined up here who were beaten in their prep race, and only one of them won. That was the fruitcake, or the enigma that is LeBake, who was a 25 to 1 winner, having virtually refused, continued, tailed off in his prep race. I mean, the Irish have been quite generous to the British train runners in this race and let 1 or 2 of them finish in the places in the last few years. So I am looking at the likes of Tell Her the Name, who could do with the ground drying out. And also, you'll laugh, Favour and Fortune for Alan King, not a track that I'm a big fan of. He's won from 133 with his hurdlers at the Cheltenham Festival in the last 15 years. But the thing about Favour and Fortune is that he's a keen sort who needs a big field and a strong pace, ideally. And he hasn't really had it over hurdles yet. And, when he does, I think he's going to show improvement and could sneak into the frame at a big price. So not a race I want to get heavily involved with, but I'll just throw a couple of quid each way at Favour and Fortune.
Favour and Fortune. Who would have thought it? Andrew would have done a full turnaround then in our first race in the Supreme Novices of our Cheltenham Festival preview, and to have sided with an Alan King horse. Currently 40 to 1 though, Favour and Fortune. Now, I just really wasn't keen on this year's Supreme at all. Normally a race that hooks me straight away. But Firefox, has been fascinating seeing the money dipping in and out then for him in here. And I know Andrew just said about horses that were beaten last time out, but I don't think this is a very good Supreme, especially if Ballyburn then doesn't go there either. And in some places, he's been relatively forgotten about in the betting, given the hype about this horse at the start of the season as well, knowing what a good bumper horse he was, then winning his first 2 starts this season, beating the aforementioned Ballyburn on his second hurdle start, but his first hurdle start since his career debut in 2022. And that obviously came at Fairyhouse in December. And even then, I thought he was seriously impressive to put Ballyburn in his place that day. Ballyburn was well backed as well, was considered still then one of Close Sutton's leading novices, and he has certainly confirmed that and then subsequently. And yes, last time out, he seemed like the step up in trip should really have suited him in the Lawlers of Naas, but that was a strange race, I thought. And he jumped really well. That's always been a big trait of his. And he was well enough beaten in the end, but I'm hoping the drop back in distance, a well-run race, can see him revert back to his previous form. And I thought well, if I can get the 9-1 that's on offer there, then that's a pretty fair place about him to confirm that former brilliant ability. Right, that was the Supreme done and dusted. We're moving on to our next race. This is, of course, the Grade 1 Arkle Novices Chase, 5 rods and over 2 miles at 2:10. Now, vying for favouritism, 11-2, the pair. Founder 50, Ilite Tom, they finished 1-2 last time out. But of course, without Marine National then in here, Andrew, it has opened the door and then some for one of these horses to step up.
Yeah, I'm a bit gutted that Marine National's not running because I thought he'd get chinned. So that's taken a lot of value out of the market. I mean, they bet like a Class 6 handicap at Wolverhampton. There's 6 horses currently priced between 11-2 and 15-2. So it's got a very open look to it. I mean, Gaelic Warrior, one of those, is very hard to bet given his obvious preference for a right-handed track. Even at Cheltenham, when he sort of comes wide in the straight towards the stand side, and that prevents him sort of jumping right-handed Goshen style, he still gets chinned. So I'm looking at JPR1 for the Tizzards, who's got a done extremely well over fences. I mean, he won in a fast time, albeit it was only at Newton Abbot in October. He's then very unlucky behind our old friend Hon Public, unseating here when having the race in the bag. Didn't like going right-handed at Sandown next time. Perhaps needed that confidence booster. Went third to Le Patron and Grade 1 Company, and then bounced back to win at Lingfield. So left-handed over fences. Basically unlucky not to be unbeaten, but for that unseated rider. And I think it's sort of 7-1, 15-2. He's rock solid against what the Irish horses don't look superstars in my opinion. So JPR1 for me.
Yeah, 7-1 with BetMGM as well. Then JPR1 for that solidity approach, sort of a solid approach for Andrew in a race full of question marks, Dave.
Yeah, it is one of those races. It's like Andrew said, it's definitely sad that Marine National is not going to be here for whether you fancied him or you didn't, because at the start of the season, we were hoping for like another El Fabiolo, John Bon clash, weren't we? Marine National and Facile Vega. Willie Mullins talked about the fact that he doesn't know whether Facile Vega would even come to Cheltenham because his work's not been so good and he's weak in the exchanges for this particular race. However, now Marine's not here. If he is on the boat, especially with the ground being slow, I would give him a proper chance. Like, I know you've got to forgive him a couple of bad performances, but he's the type of horse in terms of actual ability. They were well clear in a Supreme that should be able to mop this up, but he's not one that I'll be interested in betting at this point. You'd need to see final declarations to even consider him actually coming here. There's much of a muchness, I think. When you take Gaelic Warrior out of the race again, he's probably not going to come here. He's posted RPRs of 158, 160. Everything else in this race has only been able to post mid 150s, like 155-ish numbers. So that race that Andrew touched on at Cheltenham, where JPR1 got done by Hon Public when he fell, I know it's hard with the figures, but he was given a 147 RPR for that day. JPR1 beat the horse that I'm going to put up, Matata, half a length at Lingfield. When Matata ran here and got beaten by Liberty Hunter, he dogged it. I think he went 101. He threw the race away in front. That was on heavy ground, so the fact that there is some slow ground about is not going to be a problem to him. But his RPI then was, I think, 154. So half a stone better performance than JPR1 did. Now, that is subjective. That's someone else's figures. But Matata's put in a couple of like mid 150s numbers, even that half length second to JPR1 after. And as Andrew touched on, JPR1 has a proper chance in this race, but he's 7-1. Matata's 20-1. Like I say, there was half a length between him. Matata was a little bit unlucky at Lingfield, but again, he's probably a little bit quirky. But I don't mind that so much.
Dave, are you worrying about him jumping into the wings of the fences kind of thing? Because we know he's got to go left-handed, but he takes it to extremes, doesn't he? I think he needs Chester because he tends to jump at a 45-degree angle to his left, and I can just see him sort of ended up at the rail at some stage.
Maybe, but not really, because we'll come on to it when we talk about the turners, like the Grey Dawning's bank fence and stuff. But as much as he goes into like the brush of the side and stuff, like he hasn't fallen. JPR1 that jumps well has fallen. So until Matata tips up, I'm not worried about the jumping, and I just think it's one of those that could potentially be ironed out. I think the ground conditions, he's so versatile in here. I'm surprised that he's still 20 to 1, if I'm honest with you. There's a bit of money for Master Chewy, the other one from the stable, but I think Matata at 20 to 1 is just a massive price frick. And
yeah, I think it's a fair shout, because I don't think he's finished out the first 2 left-handed, has he? When he's sort of has completed the course, so maybe that's the forecast: JPR 1 and Matata, and to finish 1-2.
Yeah,
it definitely could be. He would definitely be. I know we'll come on to it towards the end of it, but he'd be one of my stronger fancies for day one as well. 20 to 1 is a ridiculous price. The only thing that can make me think that he's still that price is they might not run him, but he's been confirmed at this 6-day stage. I'm pretty strong on Matata. I don't think there's anything other than Facile Vega, if he came with it, could put up a performance better than Matata's capable of. And even if he does dog it a little bit like Champagne Fever, at least he's not going to be a short price favourite. He's a 20 to 1 poke, so second wouldn't be the worst case scenario.
nice shout as well. He's actually rated officially £2 higher than JPR1 as well. 20 to 1 then with BetMGM about Matata in here as well. And he has got that course form. Just don't line up on his inside anyone else in this race, because as we've all said, he will wipe you out clean. Right, that was the 210. Then the Arkle, where it looks a wide open event, as the betting will tell you. Certainly a wide open event is our next race. So this is the Ultima Handicap Chaser Premier Handicap. 5 rods and over 3 mile one at 250. Meeting of the Waters, your current favourite, of course, now will be sporting the JP McManus colours. I think he bought him only today as we record on Thursday, the 6th, Wednesday, I should say, the 6th of March as well. So, Dave, this horse, he's been well bought. Is JP bought him well enough to win the Ultima, though?
No, I don't buy into it. Maybe he's bought him to win a Grand National, but I'm not 100% sold on him. He is short enough, but obviously JP McManus knows a lot more about stuff than I do. He's got a lot more better suited contacts than I have. But we know in the Ultima, the Irish haven't had the best record in here. They do seem to be throwing quite a bit of ammunition at it, though. So maybe that's not as strong a trend to stick to. I'm sure Andrew might either agree or disagree with that. Obviously, there's only 2 options in that scenario, isn't there? but there's lots of horses that have got like likeable profiles. Do you remember when we did the October weekend watch before Chianti Classico ran at Chepstow? I told you he'd be in the Ultima. He'd be Kim Bailey's horse for that. But we're not 100% sure if he is going to be Kim Bailey's horse, because Trelawn could come here, but then he could split them 2 up. One of them could go to a Kim Muir. So for all that Chianti Classico's got a nice profile for it, I'm still lukewarm about him round Cheltenham. I think he might want a bit of a flatter track. The one that I do want to see line up, and I'm not 100% sure if it's going to run, but again, it's in the 6-day confirmation, so that's a good start. And I probably will get pelters from Andrew for this one, but I'm happy to take him. It's Victorino for Venetia Williams, because I know he's run his races at Ascot recently. He got beaten by the right-hand specialist that I somehow managed to talk Andrew out of betting in 300 through 5 at Ascot. The form of some of his races is real good. We've seen Man what he's gone and done since. There's even bits of form with Phlegmatic as well in there. He did come to Cheltenham, and like Andrew said, when we talked about it on the weekend watch, kind of surprisingly, he was still supported that day when the drop back in trip was never really going to suit. I feel like that was a bit of a sighter round Cheltenham. It's a box to be ticked that a horse has been round Cheltenham. Obviously, the Irish, the reason they don't win it probably is because they haven't got the course experience, although that's a bit of a harsh blanket statement. But I think Victorino is very interesting. I still think he's got loads of miles off his mark. He's the right type of horse that if Venetia decides to actually run him in this race, I can see him shortening up a bit. He's 25 to 1 at the time of the recording with 5 places up for grabs. Obviously, all of this is non-want-to-know bet now. So I'm not 100% sure if he runs. If he does, I'm interested. And then of the Irish, Am I Right would be the only one that I would actually want to bet, but I've got a theory about Am I Right that he jumps better out of better ground, and I don't think he's going to get it. So lukewarm on him. So Victorino would be the sole selection for the Ultima. Might not run though.
Might not run over 25 to 1 for Victorino, a horse that plenty of people have followed throughout the season, and at least he has had that sighter at Cheltenham now. Andrew, Ultima, who wins?
Yeah, interesting race stats wise. 9 of the last 10 winners won some sort of headgear, but that's not a significant statistic because last year 16 of the runners did. So you'll hear that stat doing the rounds, but it's absolutely no help whatsoever. And it becomes something of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fancied horses will end up in first-time cheap pieces because the trainers and connections were, you got to wear headgear to win this race, so they slap it on for the first time. The most interesting guide to this race has been the market. Now, in the last 10 years, 58 horses started at odds of 11 to 1 or shorter, and that found 9 of the last 10 winners. If you backed all 58, you'd have made £27.50 to a £1 level stake. Now, last year there were 7 qualifiers. they included the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and fifth. And so with bookmakers offering enhanced places, don't look at the form book for this. Just basically back 5, 6, 7 horses 2 minutes before the off, when you know which ones are going to be at the head of the market. I'd be surprised if you didn't make a profit. Now, that's sort of pretty dull and pretty boring. If you want to sort of narrow it down, Chianti Classico is interesting, particularly now Kim Bailey's had a winner after a well-publicised quiet spell. And at bigger prices, there were a couple I liked. One, Dom of Mary, I don't think is going to get into the race, 41st in the weights, I think, at the time of recording. And the other one is our old friend Cloudy Glen, an 11-year-old now, trained by Venetia Williams. Now, Cloudy Glen has had 6 runs in his life when he's been rested for 10 weeks or longer. He's been off for that amount of time now. Those 6 runs produced 3 wins and 3 in the frame efforts, 28 to 1, 11 to 1, and 10 to 1. The Hemmings colour, Venetia Williams, both got a history of big price placed horses in this race. And I could see Cloudy Glen getting a place pot position, although really I'll just be looking at the top of the market, particularly Chianti Classico.
Particularly Chianti Classico, then go on the Kim Bailey yard. So yeah, hopefully then Chianti Classico at 9 to 1 will be a nice way to go. But also that's nod to the 33 to 1 shot, Cloudy Glen, 11 years old, 2021 when I believe it was of the Ladbroke Trophy. I think it was at that point, Hennessy, Coral, Gold, whatever it is. Right, the Ultima though still got its name at least anyway. As was the Champion Hurdle, thank goodness. Grade 1 contest, as we know, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles, comes up at 3:30. Our feature race on day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival. No Constitution Hill. Of course, he didn't pass the acid test on Monday then. So he is a non-runner, and it was all gutting to see for everyone involved. And then for all of us punters and fans alike to see that the superstar horse of the entire meeting isn't going to make it. It means that State Man is a very, very short price favourite, about 4 to 7. Then Irish Point looking more likely to go here now, Andrew. So is there a betting angle at this stage into the Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, we go back in time to a weekend watch a few months ago when I was asked for an anti-post pick for the Cheltenham Festival. And I said State Man each way at 8 to 1 for the Champion Hurdle. Yeah. Because worst way he's going to finish second to Constitution Hill, and if that one doesn't make the lineup, you've got an incredibly good value bet. I didn't take my own advice, so I'm a bit gutted. But the one I want to be with now is Echoes in Rain for Willie Mullins, and the number of times Mullins has had the winner of this race and a big price stable second string or third or even fourth string has filled the frame. There's been plenty of those, so I think Echoes in Rain, we know that she's useful. She's run about the last 2 festivals, ran the mares race over 2 miles 4.5, finished 4th and 5th. Now didn't quite stay on each occasion, so her best form is off a strong pace over 2 miles, and she races keenly. She hasn't had the strong pace she needs, so coming back in trip compared to the last 2 festivals, I think she's going to run a good race. I think she's going to be just ridden to get second behind State Man. So in terms of betting each way, betting without the favourite, betting the total exact or the straight forecast, I think State Man wins. Echoes in Rain finishes second.
I like it a lot for her to finish second, then behind her own stablemate. Of course, she does have that mare's hurdle entry, but she is very much a 2-miler though, isn't she? So yeah,
I was going to say, because finishing third in the Champion Hurdle, you get 50 grand. And bear in mind, she's finished 4th. She's had 2 goes in the mares, and she's sort of picked up 6 or 7 grand for finishing 4th or 5th. I think they'll look at this and think, second place you get 100,000 quid, so that's realistic. I don't think they can win the mares. That they'd be better off trying to finish second or third in this.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna probably win the mares anyway. So so with a similar price source in themselves. So for the yard, it's probably much of a muchness, and they seem to have very sporting owners, Barnane Stud, who will go where good prize money's on offer. So I'm expecting Echoes and Rain to go there. And always an underestimated mare, Dave, isn't she? And she's a big price as well, about 40 to 1 for Andrew. Were you taking a similar approach? I'm just happy to watch.
probably very much happy to watch. I do love Echoes and Rain. I believe this is her last race before she's going to go and have babies. So maybe she wants to mingle with the boys just to make all those studs jealous, so she gets a better opportunity. She's nice, and obviously the ground now probably would have played a factor in where she'd run anyway. So obviously Constitution Hill coming out maybe makes that decision a bit easier. So that probably is the way to bet in the race, right? We can see Stake Man is short enough. There is got to be some sort of each way bet in there, or a placey bet. I'm more of the case with the Cheltenham week that, like, unfortunately I haven't had any anti-post positions in here that have put me in a good spot. Like Andrew said, the Stake Man bet a little while ago was probably the obvious one to do. Didn't do it either. But I'm happy to sit this one out. I think it does look a really nice race, but it's crazy to realise just how much of a weapon Constitution Hill is in everyone's eyes, because you think since he's not come in, I know Nicky Henderson wants to have another dart in here, but they've supplemented Iberico Lord for it. We talk about Echoes and Rain coming here. There's talk of Lossymouth even potentially considering this now, although she clearly won't. Irish Points coming here. Pied Piper's going to dodge the county. That was one of the best bets for the county. People are saying he's going to come here. They were all not going to run purely because Constitution Hill was here. So they're basically poo-pooing State Man, aren't they? But I'm pleased that he'll probably get his limelight there. Yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. I wouldn't want to be steaming into him or sticking in multis. I would fully just not be betting in the Champion Hurdle and just take a break to enjoy the horses, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And State Man, it's not as though it's not going to be a worthy winner in his own right. A very, very talented horse. Thank goodness we still have him, because if Constitution Hill was a non, didn't have State Man, he might be struggling a bit. But as you say, Iberico Lord, as of this morning, was supplemented for the race as well, but still just waiting on a price for him to be put into the market, though. Right, that was the Champion Hurdle done. Now another grade one, the Mares Hurdle. 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4 at 4.10. And as said beforehand, we do have a very short price favourite for this. Again, it comes as no surprise to anyone. From the Willie Mullins yard, Lossymouth 1-2 then with Bet MGM. Ashroe Diamond again for the Willie Mullins yard, 4-1 in next. Then we've got Echoes and Rain. Which way will she go? We're hoping Champion Hurdle route. So, Dave, Willie Mullins, very strong hand. Lossymouth, she's going to take the world a beating.
Yeah, she really is, isn't she? And I think looking at the prices as they are, I mean, if Ballyburn does go to the Supreme, we don't know what sort of price will go off, but you could probably stick him and her in a double that would pay bigger than 2-1. So if you're interested in not betting shorties, but having a couple of quid on for the interest, that might be the way to play it. But she's awfully short in terms of one to get stuck into. Don't want to be rude. I've said it in the past, and I do sound rude when I say it, but like it's hard to trust some of the girls sometimes. I'm sure she'll be fine, but there'll be better 4-7 shots in my eyes. I think she's a good thing for this. She'll stay the extra bit of trip, but it gives us a good opportunity, right? Because I don't think Ashroe Diamond deserves to be as short as she is. I get the understandable claims that might be in there. I just don't think she's got as much substance to her form. So that helps because she's taken a good percentage of the market, as we know Lossymouth is. And Marie's Rock's the one that I've come down on. There'll probably be two that I'd like to play in this race each way. Marie's Rock's won the race before. They started to mess about going Stairs Hurdle trip with her last year. Now, I talked about the untrustworthy with Mares. I just mean a bit of inconsistency can step in, and Marie's Rock is the most consistently inconsistent mare, isn't she? But she's been here and done it. She does need the race to run to suit, so whether she gets that or not on the day, we'll have to find out. But she's 12-1 top price at the time of recording. It's 3 places at the moment, but I would imagine on the day this might be an okay size field. You might get 4 places. Nowhere is she outside the top 4. The other one that could fill the frame as well, especially extended places, is Tell Me Something Girl for Henry de Bromhead. He's talked about her this season in quite high regard, I suppose. And in that race that Marie's Rock won, she was travelling really well. So she's got a bit more experience under her belt now. I know she went chasing, but I think she's better over hurdles. I think she's got a chance. She's 20-1 at the time of recording. I think Love Envoy goes off to the sales after this. As I touched on, Echoes and Raids going to go and make babies. And it's not like Honeysuckle Swan Song where she was a worldie. I think that's negative to the chances of those two, even if they did line up. So Marie's Rock for definite, and then probably Tell Me Something Girl each way in this race, just for an interest, I think.
Yes, and of course, with that Cheltenham Festival success in the Mares Novices Hurdle from a couple of years ago to her name as well. But she's a 20-1 shot. Marie's Rock, I can see with Bet MGM is 11-1 then there as well. So, Dave and Andrew, Dave taking on those at the head of the market. Get you two confused all the time. Who are you siding with?
Well, I'll certainly take on Lossymouth. She's a keen sort who's been running over 2 miles, 2 miles 1. Now she's going an extended 2.5 on soft ground and stiff uphill finish. I think she'll race keenly. She might not get home. So the obvious one is Ashroe Diamond. I think she's got a fantastic chance. She's had 6 runs in Mares Only Company in her life. 5 wins and a 3/4 of a length, 16 to 1/4 in a Leopardstown bumper when she was hampered. So she's basically unlucky not to be beaten when taking on her own sex. Just chuck a line through her runs against male rivals, and I think she's got an amazing chance. So yeah, I think 7-2 is a big price. She'll be shorter on the day. Ashroe Diamond for me.
Ashroe Diamond to take on her own shorter price stablemate then at the head of the market, 7-2 then about Ashroe Diamond, and just straight in on the win then for Andrew. Right, now definitely a question mark. We've had a lot of smaller field races, or races that will turn into being small field contests. One that never is unlikely to be yet again is of course the Boodles Juvenile Hurdle, otherwise known as the Fred Winter Premier Handicap, 4-year odds, 2 miles at 450. So Andrew, 6-1 the field, headed by Lark in the Morning. Who wins this one from these unexposed sorts?
Yeah, I love this race. We've had 19 runnings of this contest at Cheltenham. Yeah, we've had 9 winners priced between 25 to 1 and 80 to 1. You could back every single runner in the race and make a profit. It seems to be getting harder as well. I mean, in the last 12 years, £60, 50 to £1 level stake profit backing every runner in the race. I mean, broadly speaking, there are 2 types of Fred Winter winner. Those who've been running in graded company, and particularly last time out, who have ridden patiently and didn't finish in the first 3, probably running in a grade 1 and now dropping in grade, and others who sort of running good races on their first couple of starts and then last time out dropped in grade to class 4 company and won, you know, the likes of Ludlow or somewhere like that. Now we've had, I think, something like 167 horses finish 2nd or 3rd or Britain and Ireland last time out. Since the Fred Winter started, every single one of them was beaten. So really, you're looking at disguised ability here. And you just back any horse who was described as held up last time out, back any horse who was 4th or worse like last time out, and you'd have hit those big price winners over the years. So really, you're looking beyond the obvious. The one I was looking at was Ose Partir for Martin Brazil. I missed the 40 to 1 when you know, the sort of decks first came out for this. But again, last time out, he finished 10th of 11, went 100 to 1 behind Carjess in the Spring Juvenile Hurdle, a grade 1 contest. And basically, you know, you go back to his hurdles debut, he's run a good 2nd at Galway, and then since then he's running grade 3, grade 2, grade 1. It's a case of like, yeah, all roads lead to Cheltenham and the Boodles, and yeah, he'd be the one for me at this time. But I do worry that he's only 16 to 1, and you probably want to be starting on one that's 33 to 1 or bigger. It does make me laugh when people are sort of falling over themselves to about 5 or 6 to 1 shots in this race anti-post. You think, you idiot. It's an absolute lottery. Don't look at recent form. You know, don't look at horses with a string of 1s next to their name unless that one came last time out in a low grade race. You know, don't. I mean, what? Who? You know, form figures of first, 51. Pathetic. Hasn't got a prayer.
Dave, I really hope this tees you up to absolute perfection now with what who, or something that won or finished 2nd last time out. Please let it be the case.
No, I mean, I'm still scarred from Gaelic Warrior all those years ago.
Guess who tipped up the winner that day? It's like the only time I've ever found the winner of the Fred Winter, and I'm still harking on about it.
Oh, that makes me feel better. Thanks, Kate. Right, it's one of those races where, like, everyone, I guess everyone can have their own niche, right? And people can pick their discipline to go into, but I can't imagine anyone ever has the Boodles down to a T. If they do, please send me a tweet so I can find out what to back every single year for it, because it is a bit of a minefield. I mentioned one a long time ago on Weekend Watch when we were doing stuff as an interest thing. Wasn't 100% sure he's going to come because he's been a big price on exchanges, but I'll just mention him again. It's Kourosh for Dan Skelton. I think he needs a breathing operation, but they came 4th in the race in 2019 when Band of Outlaws won with King Darjon. Very different type, but this Kourosh is still 66 to 1. Obviously, it's non-runner money back, 5 places up for grabs at the moment. So I definitely wouldn't put you off holding a couple of quid into that horse. Whether they're going to give him a win, whether he even runs is just a different thing. I just wanted to give him a mention. Ose Partir that Andrew's touched on is short enough now. Matty Sutcliffe, I think he put him up at 33s or 40s. He probably started the gamble, didn't he? But there's another horse that's got a close form line with him, which is Eagle Fang. Eagle Fang wore cheek pieces for the first time when he got close to Ose Partir. I think that's part of the reason why the price is contracted so much from 40s into what it is, but I would think that Eagle Fang didn't like the cheek pieces. So as much as they were close to each other, I think if you take the headgear off of Eagle Fang, he would have actually been miles better than Osier Partir. But he's 14 to 1, and in my eyes, like Andrew said, at bigger price ones, I think he's probably too short. So Eagle Fang is definitely on my shortlist, as is Kourosh, and the third that's on my shortlist is Nara. JP McManus mare. She was found in season. She wore a hood, I think, first time up. She ran her last race, right, where she was giving £7 away to the boys because of the fact that she'd won a race. And in theory, she was like a stone worse off. They backed her that day, which was very surprising because she was $1 million. She travelled quite nicely in the race and then just faded out of it. So there's something in her, I think. There's a definite chance of a race. If she gets that hood back on, I think in the last 11 renewals, something about 7 horses have placed in the top 5 with a hood. I know that's a loose stat because I haven't said how many horses have run with a hood. But Nara, I think, is a solid one for like an each way type bet. So,
did she finish fourth or worse last time out, Dave?
She did.
Oh, there she won.
She did.
There we go. So Nara's the winner, yeah. But Eagle Fang, Nara, and then I definitely have had a go on this Kourosh. If they actually do decide to run him, I think that'll be quite telling. I can't imagine Skelton would just send a Juvenile here for the day out, to be honest with you. And he's been weak on the exchange and stuff, probably because of his form, but he's the sort of one that could spring up at an absolute stupid price. So I'll just keep mentioning him in the hope that he runs.
Yeah, he's 66 to 1 with BetMGM. That's the biggest I can see as well then for Kourosh in here. But a few others in there. Nara, who finished 4th last time out, so just getting into the stats there. And just to mention the last one again, Eagle Fang. There you go. I can see 11 to 1 BetMGM there. But of course, wait for the each way terms on BetMGM as well, because there will be plenty of races on offer should you want to leave it closer to the time as well. Right, our final race on day 1 comes up at 5:30. This is the National Hunt Challenge Cup Amateur Jockeys Novices Chase, Grade 2. Never gets any catchier, that name at all, does it? 5-year-olds and over, 3 miles 6, stayers to the 4. Dave, who stays best of all?
Don't know. I've lost a little bit of love for this race with it not being the 4 miler. I get why they did it for various reasons and stuff, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to have the same appeal, and I feel that there's horses that run in here that probably should be in the Brown Advisory, and then because it's quite not quite so tested, I think there's horses that run in the Brown Advisory that actually probably should come here. So yeah, I'm always a little bit lukewarm on this race. I do think Corbett's Cross is probably the best horse in here. I was speaking to Ben Hastie the other day, and when he ran out at Cheltenham, Ben was saying to me that there shouldn't have been a gap between the wing and the rail. He said it's never been there before. It was shouldn't have been set up like that. So as much as he's been a bit quirky and people have said that about him, he ran out, he's that type of horse. I don't think he is. And I know his jumping hasn't been the most immaculate, but they're novice chasers, aren't they? The only thing that worries me about him is that collision that they had recently, because it's not the same as a fall. He must have been bruised a little bit or knocked. I think that would have put him off a bit of work, but there has been money for him. So I think he's got a favourites chance, essentially. Salvador Ziggy's a bit screwed now because the ground's not come for him. But yeah, again, it's not a race I would probably want him to be having a bet in. If you forced me for a selection, which you are, I can see you holding it under the camera. Corbett's Cross would be the selection, but he's the favourite National Hunt Chase. So I almost want to just take a... Can I take a little free pass and just say, enjoy the race again? Just enjoy this National Hunt Chase for what it is.
Enjoy every second of the however long this race goes on for. Yes, you're allowed a free pass. We preach responsible gambling as ever, so certainly you are allowed that. But gun to your head though, Corbett's Cross in terms of a selection. But as you've just heard from what Dave was saying there, that it isn't without much strong convictions of a backing as such at that price. Andrew, any angle for you?
Yeah, it's a bit pants, and I'm glad it's not part of the play spot, this being race 7. I'd take on the front too. I mean, Corbett's Cross is going to run out because I'm going to cut a big hole in the rail when I'm down at Cheltenham on Tuesday. Embassy Gardens has only ever won in sort of the depths of winter, December and January. So maybe, I know it's still on the wet side, but maybe he's not going to be a spring horse. He's never sort of won in this period. And yeah, you're just looking at it and thinking like, is this Huntingdon on a Thursday? It doesn't look like much of a race. Kilbeg King is the sort of semi-interesting one, being a consistent sort who ran second, just chinned by Henry's friend in the Reynoldstown, Grade 2 Novices Chase at Ascot last time. Half a suspicion that he wants to go right-handed, but he has won at Foss last. He has run well at Newbury. So yeah, I'll go Kilbeg King, but I wouldn't be confident.
Yeah, it's one of those races. Interesting that he's 10-1 though in here, and Henry's Friend is actually 14-1 then with BetMGM after those two horses finished first and second at Ascot last time out in the Grade 2. But yeah, it's just a race where it feels very difficult to really be getting that carried away about it. As can very often be the case. But that's the final race, though. So, yeah, hopefully we would have made plenty of money by this point. Anyway, right, all that is left for me to do on day one is to get your nap. So, Andrew, I will go back to you, please. Your nap, then, first and foremost, of day one.
I'm going to go for Ashroe Diamond in the mares, given that fantastic record against the row 6.
Oh, like it a lot, Dave.
Matata in the Arkle. Each way, but he can definitely win the race too.
Oh, you're not going to save it for your lively outsider either. We like that. That is bullish as you like. I'll go Firefox. And to be honest, I haven't got many strong opinions on day one. But if Ballyburn does then step up in trip, which we still don't know at this stage, I like the money that was coming about for Firefox earlier on. Hopefully he can put that latest run then to bed. Right, lively outsider time then, Dave. So how are you going to beat 33-1?
Well, that's it, because I've gone for a big price one. It's got to be at least twice the price. So yeah. Kourosh, I will say for Dan Skelton, if it runs in the Fred Winter, would be the lively outsider. If it doesn't, then I think Nara's absolutely nailed on for a place. So I'll give the punters some saving grace in case it doesn't get declared. But yeah, Kourosh is very interesting at 66-1.
Yeah, we literally did go double then for your lively outsider. I mean, if these two horses go in, Dave's nap and outsider, then we're not going to see him for the rest of the week, if ever again. Andrew, your lively outsider, please.
Well, you know I love a mare, Kate, so I'll go Echoes and Rain in the Champion Hurdle as an each way or without the favourite option.
Oh, that was going to be my one then for the lively outsider.
We can agree. We agreed last week with Hon Public.
We did. Thank you for giving me the green light then for Echoes in Rain. See, on Andrew say so, I'm going to go for Echoes in Rain as well as my lively outsider also in the Champion Hurdle. Hopefully she sticks over the 2-mile trip. She is very much a 2-miler in my mind. And it's going to be the same predicament she'll be in for the Mare's Hurdle. So that is everything from us on day one of the Cheltenham Festival. Thank you to Dave and to Andrew for all of their hard work. Big thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM. Thank you for watching, but stay put exactly where you are because day 2 coming at you very shortly.